You ate breakfast this morning. Maybe cereal, maybe toast, maybe something with a label that said low fat or heart healthy. You trusted that label. You trusted the science behind it. You trusted the doctors who recommended it, the government that approved it, and the researchers who proved it. But here is what nobody tells you. That science was bought. In 1967, a group of Harvard scientists published a study in one of the most respected medical journals on Earth. It told the world that fat was killing us. Sugar was fine. That study shaped every diet, every food label, every school lunch, every medical recommendation for the next 60 years. It was paid for by the sugar industry, and nobody told you. This is not a story from the past. This is in your body, right now, today. So ask yourself this: if the science that built your entire understanding of food was engineered by the people selling you sugar, what else have you been eating that was never meant to keep you healthy? What you are about to discover, most people will never know, and once you hear this, you cannot unhear it. It is 1953. America is winning. The war is over. The economy is booming. The suburbs are growing. And for the first time in history, millions of ordinary people have enough food to eat whatever they want. And then something strange starts happening. Heart disease begins to rise fast. Suddenly, without warning, men in their 40s are dropping dead at their desks. Doctors are confused. The public is terrified. And the entire medical world is searching for one thing: an answer. Enter Ansel Keys. He is a physiologist from Minnesota, brilliant, confident, and completely certain he already knows the truth. Keys has a theory. He believes saturated fat raises cholesterol, and cholesterol causes heart disease. He calls it the diet-heart hypothesis. To prove it, he runs a famous study called the 7 Countries Study. He looks at fat consumption and heart disease rates across 7 nations. The data seems to confirm everything he believes. Fat is the killer. But here's what nobody tells you. Keys had data from 22 countries. He chose 7. The countries that did not fit his theory were quietly removed. Think about what you just heard. A scientist running the most influential nutrition study of the 20th century handpicked his evidence. The countries that contradicted him were simply left out, and the world never knew. Other scientists noticed. They pushed back. They published challenges. They pointed to the missing data. Keys destroyed them. He was charming, aggressive, and politically connected. He did not debate his critics. He humiliated them. He dismissed them. He made sure the right journals, the right conferences, and the right institutions heard his version of the truth. By the end of the 1950s, fat was the enemy. The science was settled, and the entire machinery of American nutrition was pointing in one direction. But in the shadows of this story, another player had been watching very carefully. The Sugar Research Foundation knew they had a problem. By the early 1960s, a small number of scientists were beginning to point at sugar, not fat, sugar. A British physiologist named John Yudkin was publishing uncomfortable research. He believed sugar, not fat, was the primary driver of heart disease, obesity, and metabolic illness. His evidence was real, his logic was sound, and if the world believed him, the sugar industry faced something terrifying: accountability. So they did what powerful industries always do when science threatens their profits. They bought better science. In 1965, the Sugar Research Foundation, funded by the largest sugar companies in America, paid 3 Harvard scientists a sum equivalent to $50,000 in today's money. The assignment? Review the existing research on sugar, fat, and heart disease. Write a paper, publish it in a prestigious journal, and reach the right conclusion. The scientists were not told to lie. They were simply guided, steered. The studies that supported sugar were included. The studies that implicated sugar were minimized or excluded. The result was published in 1967 in the New England Journal of Medicine, one of the most respected scientific publications in the world. The paper concluded that fat and cholesterol were the dietary causes of heart disease. Sugar's role was dismissed as insignificant. No conflict of interest was disclosed. The lead Harvard scientist D. Mark Hegsted later went on to help design the United States government's first dietary guidelines. Most people never connect those two facts. A scientist paid by the sugar industry to defend sugar later wrote the nutrition policy for an entire nation. Think about what you just heard. You would have trusted him. Everyone did. He had Harvard behind his name. He had government authority. He had published peer-reviewed science, and the funding that shaped his conclusions was buried for nearly 50 years. This is where everything changes, because what happened next was not just a scientific mistake. It was a transformation of the entire food supply of the modern world.
In 1977, the United States government published its first official dietary guidelines. Senator George McGovern led the committee. The recommendation was clear: reduce fat, eat more carbohydrates. The food industry did not resist. They adapted brilliantly, ruthlessly. Fat was stripped from products. But here is what they never announced publicly. When you remove fat from food, it tastes like nothing, like cardboard, like punishment. So they replaced it with something: sugar, low-fat yogurt, low-fat cookies, low-fat salad dressing. Every single one packed with added sugar to make it palatable, and every single one marketed as the healthy choice. The packaging said heart healthy. The science said so. The government said so. Your doctor said so. And this is where fear entered the story for real. Because the people telling you fat was dangerous were not lying about everything. Dietary guidelines are complicated. Researchers were working with imperfect tools. Not every scientist was corrupt, but the foundation, the research that started it all, had been shaped by money. And now that foundation was inside every school lunch program, every hospital meal plan, every weight loss clinic, every national health campaign in the Western world. And nobody was asking where it came from. Meanwhile, something else was quietly happening. Obesity rates, which had been relatively stable for decades, began to climb, steadily at first, then dramatically. From 1980 onward, the curve bends sharply upward. Diabetes diagnoses follow the same shape: metabolic disease, fatty liver, insulin resistance, all of it rising in almost perfect parallel with the explosion of low-fat, high-sugar processed food. But here is what nobody tells you. No one connected the dots publicly. Not yet, because the people funding the research that could have connected those dots had a strong financial interest in making sure the connection was never made. John Yudkin never recovered. The British scientist who had warned about sugar in the 1960s was systematically dismantled, not by evidence, by reputation destruction. Ansel Keys called his work a mountain of nonsense. Industry-backed researchers dismissed him at every conference. His 1972 book, Pure, White, and Deadly, which laid out the full case against sugar, was buried. It went out of print. It disappeared from mainstream discussion. Medical students were not assigned it. Doctors did not reference it. Yudkin died in 1995, still fighting, almost entirely ignored. This happened to someone exactly like the scientists you trust today. Qualified, rigorous, right about something powerful people needed the world not to know. And the suppression was not accidental. Internal documents from the Sugar Research Foundation, only made public in 2016 when a researcher found them in an archive, show a coordinated, decades-long effort to monitor, fund, and shape nutrition science. The strategy was explicit: identify research that threatened sugar, fund alternative research that redirected blame, control the narrative before it could become consensus. And this is where the stage of devastation arrives, because by the 1990s and 2000s, the entire medical and nutritional establishment had been built on the corrupted foundation. Not because every scientist was corrupt, most were not, but when the foundational studies are wrong, everything built on top of them drifts further from truth with every passing year. Doctors trained on those guidelines trained other doctors. Textbooks carried the same assumptions. Grant committees funded research that confirmed existing theory. Anyone who challenged the core model struggled to get published,
funded or taken seriously. The answer to the question you have been carrying since the first minute of this video: how was this hidden for 60 years? It was not hidden by one villain in a dark room.
It was hidden by inertia, by institutional momentum, by the way human systems protect their own conclusions long after the evidence has moved on, and by money. Quietly, consistently, strategically placed money. Most people will never fully reckon with what that means. In 2016, a researcher named Kristen Kearns and her colleagues published a paper in JAMA Internal Medicine. It contained the original internal documents of the Sugar Research Foundation: letters, memos, payment records, strategy documents. All of it was real, all of it was sourced, all of it was verified. The New York Times covered it. So did every major news outlet on Earth. For 1 week, the world paid attention. Then the news cycle moved on, but the science did not. In the years since, the full picture has continued to sharpen. Researchers studying the original 7 countries' data have confirmed that keys excluded inconvenient nations. Meta-analyses of fat and heart disease have failed to reproduce the original conclusions. Nutrition scientists studying low-fat dietary interventions have found that they do not reliably reduce heart disease. And the research on sugar, on its specific effects on the liver, on insulin, on metabolic function, has become some of the most compelling and alarming in modern medicine. Robert Lustig, a pediatric endocrinologist at the University of California, has spent decades studying fructose metabolism. His conclusion: sugar, specifically the way the liver processes fructose, produces effects nearly identical to alcohol without the intoxication. Non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, insulin resistance, chronic low-grade inflammation. These are not rare conditions. They now affect hundreds of millions of people worldwide, and they track almost perfectly with the rise of high-sugar, ultra-processed food consumption. The answer has been sitting there the whole time. But here is what nobody tells you. The Sugar Research Foundation knew exactly what they were doing. That part is not complicated. They bought science to protect profit. That is betrayal with full awareness. But the 60 years that followed, the textbooks, the guidelines, the school lunches, the hospital meals, the advice from your doctor, that was something else. That was a system doing what systems do, repeating what it was taught, defending what it had already committed to. And you were inside that system, eating what it told you to eat, trusting what it told you to trust. Think about what you just heard, not about the sugar industry, about the nature of truth in systems that were built on money. Every piece of information you receive about food, about medicine, about anything with enormous financial stakes exists inside a structure. That structure was built by people, and people who build structures have interests. This does not mean all science is corrupt. It is not. Science is still the most powerful tool humanity has for understanding reality. But science is practiced by humans, funded by humans, published by humans, and humans exist inside systems of money, power, and reputation. The lesson of the sugar papers is not that you should trust nothing. It is that you should always ask one question before you trust anything. Who paid for this? Ask it about your food. Ask it about your medicine. The question that cannot yet be fully answered is this: how much damage has already been done? 60 years of wrong dietary advice, 2 generations raised on low-fat, high-sugar processed food, billions of people who trusted the science, followed the guidelines, and paid with their metabolic health. How do you unwind that? Here is the part of the story that is hardest to sit with. The scientists who were paid, they believed in what they were doing. The policymakers who built the guidelines, they were trying to help. The doctors who told you fat was dangerous, they were following the best available evidence they had been given. This is not a story where the villains are obvious. Ask it about your medicine. Ask it about everything that tells you what is safe and what is not. What is happening right now, today, in the research we are not yet allowed to see? What has already been decided for us by money, we will only discover in an archive 50 years from now, when someone's grandchild opens a dusty box and finds the memo. If this story changed something in the way you see the world,
pass it on, not because we asked you to, because silence is the only thing these systems have ever needed.